everyone, it's Artie Tambarambaa, also known as Tammy Porter. Thanks for stopping by today. And today is day 4 on the Art by Marlene Advent Calendar for 2024. I really hope you're playing along. It is so much fun. So this is my little album that I created a couple of weeks ago before I went off on my trip, my honeymoon. So I got ahead and I have done one of these every year. But I'll just flip you through what I've done so far. So that I do a title page just because I like to have a front page. And then on the left side is day 2, which I used a quote from the awesome quotes from that page. And then the other page is day 3 with the girl with the wings, and that was using the feather stencil. And today will be day 4, which we'll do together. And these are the books I've made the other years, so 2022 and 2023, since I've been playing along with this great fun thing to do every December. And so I made them the same size. Now I have handmade this book and I did a video of it a couple of years ago. So what I'll do is I'll link that video into the comments of this one so you can find it and play along. Marlene's doing a tag book. There's lots of people doing the tags. There's lots of people doing slightly different things, so you do what works for you. But I just opened day 4 and it is that gorgeous stencil which has sort of flowers and leaves, and straight away, as soon as I saw it, I thought of a wreath with Christmas. And so I thought I'll do a double page, seeing as though day 4 is my day for my video. And when I set up my book, I have some pages individual and some double. I don't overthink it. I just make 3 signatures and then stick them in, and I just kind of go with the flow. And if I get to the end and there's a couple of pages left, well, I'll just make a couple more pages from all of the bits. So I don't like to be too in the box. I don't like to know exactly what's coming. I like to change it up, do what I feel like on the day, so I need a little bit of freedom there. So I thought doing a double page will be great for a video. So I've added some of the craft tape onto first of all, to stick the 2 pages together. So I took them out of my little book and I stuck it to my silicone mat, and then I used some of Marlene's craft tape to pop around the edge as well, just to create a little border because I love the way that looks. And then I came in with the paint Mermaid and quite a bit of water and did sort of a wash across all of the pages in the background. And then I added a touch of Smurf just here and there, just so it wasn't flat. It had, you know, some depth in parts and some interest. So now I'm coming in with the stencil and I'm thinking of the wreath going round in a circle and going off of the page, and just sort of showing those 2 edges to it. So I start on the left hand side and using Ballet, I think first, I just stencil using one of Marlene's artist sponges. So if I haven't explained to you, the trick with using those is to put it in some water and then wring it out, and it will expand a little and become really, really soft. And that is the best way to use it. And when you load up your paint, you just tap it in, and you might notice that I tap it off slightly before I tap it over the top of my stencil. And that way the paint doesn't sort of seep underneath. You can see in a couple of spots on this page I went a little bit heavy with the paint. I didn't sponge off enough and it has seeped a little bit. But as this is actually just the base layer, I am going to add detail to this. So it didn't really matter too much. So I've basically done it with Ballet, and I used some hot pink for some of the other flowers, and I used some punk, a purple for one of the bigger purple flowers, and now I'm just adding in some blue using Smurf. So there's a few different flowers in this stencil, and I also came in with all the green. So I'll list the paints and what I've used in the description. But I've used a whole heap of greens. So there was some forest, some olive, some envy, and I just kind of each little section of leaf. So there's some leaves, there's some sort of pine cone bits. I just use a different colour to add them onto to my page, and I also make sure I'm going off my page. So see how some of my flowers are half on and half off, and my leaves are like that too. So they're going over my border, my tape, and when I lift that off, it will leave a lovely crisp white border. So I've got my basis done. I've kind of worked out, okay, that's how I want the background to start. So then I pull out my colour pencils. Now you could use any colour pencils. I happen to have Prismacolors, which are gorgeous. And if you do add a bit of water to them, they really oomph up with the brightness. But I just decided to use them as colour pencils today. And I'm using them, I'm shading with them. So on a couple of the stencils, it's really hard to see on camera. I started with orange in the centre and then went out to sort of a medium pink and then a deep pink. And with the blue, I'm using deep blue and then sort of magenta in the centre. So I'm just trying to get a little bit of colour toning. And this is where you can sharpen up your lines. So when you've sponged, you might not have gone completely to the edge, and that's okay. We can just draw that in now with these coloured pencils. So I'm just continuing to do that. This one's the purple one. Now, when you have a look at my close-up photos, the purple comes up blue, and I don't know why. In the video, it comes out purple, but when I do my photos, I cannot get my purples to be purple. So you just have to imagine that. Yeah, but I'm just basically filling in the gaps, building on my flowers, giving them a bit of extra oomph. And I'm doing the same with the green. I'm using a few different shades of green to come in and add, every now and then I draw one extra one in, just add a little leaf here and there. So I kind of originally thought this would be circular. It kind of ends up just being top and bottom. But that's okay. That's where the idea came from. Now this little lovely bit of light green really adds, I think it's important to use a few different shades because when you layer them on top of one another, so you have some darker, some mid and some lighter, it really gives that illusion of dark and shade and shadows and sort of dappled light. And that's really important. If it was all the same green, you wouldn't have that as much sort of depth to your work. I am still learning at colouring. Some of the girls are amazing at colouring. It's not really my jam. I'm much more comfortable with paint, but you know, it's practice, practice, practice. So that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so I might just chat to you about the Advent. I hope you have fun with it. Don't stress if you get a little bit behind. I have days where I get behind, and then on a weekend I might do 3 or 4 on the weekend and catch up. So don't stress too much if life takes over. It's supposed to be a bit of fun, and it's also I have found December is actually always really busy anyway, and you think, oh, how am I going to fit something else in? But I found by doing this project, these little projects only take about 20 minutes to half an hour a day, and sometimes I wake up early and do them first thing, sometimes I do them late at night after work. But the thing is, it's nice to make that half an hour for yourself. And just to give you, like I've only done a few pages and I already love my book, and I love my book from previous years. So it's really worth sort of stepping into that space. And hey, I've seen some girls only catching up on last year, doing last year's now. So it's never too late. You can jump in at any point. But it is really nice to make some time for ourselves in this busy month. Okay, so I did come in with the white pencil in my coloured pencils, and it just helps blend those colours, and it just gives a little bit of pop to the page. And now I'm coming in with white, and I added to the centre of my flowers, and at this point I completely stuffed the page. So I've kept it in because I like to keep it real, and I added some blue mark making, which I love to do just with Smurf, but it was sort of too busy, it was too much, and when I went to wipe it off, some of it had already dried. So I thought, oh gosh, I've got to fix this somehow. So you'll see me faff about for a little bit here. So I'm using Smurf, and I think a bit of Azure mixed in with it, just and a lot of water just to try and bring in little patches of this deeper colour, in the hope that that little area that I've done at the top will then look like it's meant to be there, and hopefully you won't notice that I kind of did a stuff up. And I think the other thing I forgot to mention is originally I had popped out a couple of flowers from the collector's book, the new collector's book, and I end up not using them. I thought I would, but I decided just to use the stencil. So yeah, you probably saw that bit on video and I didn't explain that. So that's okay. They're all punched out, ready for my next project. So now I've just grabbed my black pen and I've just did a couple of little, I didn't outline everything I was going to, but then I just decided I'd just outline a couple of little bits and pieces. And the other thing I've done here is after I coloured my leaves and flowers, I came in and there's a little sort of berry part of that stencil, like a little circle on a stem. And I thought, oh, they'll make really cute berries for my wreath. So I have gone in with red and added those in as well. And now I'm coming in with, this is probably also really hard to see. Hopefully in the close-ups you can see it. But I used to just use my lace paint to do a few little dots sort of coming out of the wreath. And I really like how that sort of white dot in there will go with the border and tie it all together. So the little quote that I've used, I ended up using the purple, which I don't use purple, light purple particularly, the lilac, very often. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, but I'm loving it. I've put it on a couple of my pages and I really love it for just a bit of a change. So this one says, peace is not choosing the same side. It is the empty space between 2 points of view. And I just thought that suited that I had two sides and to my project. So, and I really like how the purple brings out the purple in the flowers. Not that you can see that in my close-ups. So I've faffed about with the quote for a little while. And that is a close-up of the finished page. So I will leave you with close-ups, and you do have to imagine that those larger blue flowers are actually purple and they go with that quote really well. So thanks so much for joining me today. I'd love you to subscribe, get your friends to subscribe, and I love hearing from you. As you know, I love reading all the quotes and hearing what you're up to. So thanks so much for being here, and I'll be back again soon. Enjoy!